My name is Zara. I am 38 years old. I have 2 children, and my husband, John, is 43. We have been married for 17 years. When we got married, I was filled with hope and happiness. John was a kind and caring man. He smiled every day and often said, "I love you." I believed him with all my heart and dreamed of building a beautiful life together. 2 years into our marriage, we were blessed with our first child, a boy named Adam. Adam was smart, funny, and full of life. He brought so much joy to our home. 2 years later, we had a daughter, Lily. Lily is gentle, sweet, and loves to sing. Our little family felt complete, and I was content. At the beginning of our marriage, John was a good husband. He worked hard to provide for us, while I stayed home to care for our children. I cooked, cleaned, and made sure our children had everything they needed. Life felt purposeful, even though it was exhausting. But as the years went by, things began to change. John started working late more often. He took frequent trips and stopped sharing the details with me. He no longer said, "I love you," and when I asked why he was so distant, he would say, "I work for this family. Don't question me." I felt heartbroken but chose to stay quiet. I loved him and held on to the hope that things would get better. 7 years ago, John went on a business trip, and while he was gone, I found something that shattered my heart, a pair of plane tickets with another woman's name on them. Her name was Lisa. For 3 days, I cried. My world felt like it had crumbled. When John returned, I confronted him. I asked, "Who is she?" He looked at me coldly and said, "She is nobody. Don't worry." His words didn't comfort me, but I stayed silent. I wanted to keep my family together, especially for our children. Over the years, nothing changed. John continued to work late and go on trips. Deep down, I knew Lisa was still part of his life. My heart grew colder and emptier with each passing day. One day, while running errands, I met someone from my past, an old friend named Alex. He was kind and gentle, just as I remembered. I saw him with his wife, and the way he treated her touched me deeply. He opened the car door for her and helped her with her coat. I thought to myself, this is what care and love look like. I've never had this. Alex and I started talking. It began with simple conversations, but soon he became someone I could confide in. When he asked me how I was, I replied, "I'm fine," even though I wasn't. Alex listened. He reminded me of my worth, saying, "You are important. You are strong." For 3 months, we talked. He didn't give me gifts or make grand promises. He simply cared. For the first time in years, I felt alive. I smiled and laughed again. But John found out. He was furious. He shouted at me, "Why did you do this?" Through tears, I told him, "Because I needed love." John cried that night. He said, "I love you. Please don't leave me." I asked him, "Why now? After all these years, why are you only saying this now?" He said, "I didn't know you were hurting." A few months later, I became very ill and had to go to the hospital. John stayed by my side the entire time. He held my hand and whispered, "Don't leave me. I love you." For the first time in years, I believed him. When I returned home, things began to change. John started staying home more often. He helped with small things, like taking out the trash or doing the dishes. He even asked, "Do you need help?" These changes, though small, did not go unnoticed. Still, my heart was uncertain. The trust we once had was gone. I began focusing on myself for the first time in years. I started reading books, going for long walks, and rediscovering who I was. I even wrote a letter to myself. It said, "Dear Zara, you are strong. You are kind. You are important. Life is hard, but you can handle it. Remember to love yourself first, because you deserve happiness." I kept that letter in my drawer. Whenever I felt sad or overwhelmed, I would read it. It reminded me that I am not alone and that I am capable of overcoming anything. John and I are still together, but things are not perfect. He says he loves me, but sometimes I still feel doubt. I focus on my children, who are the brightest lights in my life. They remind me of what love truly means: pure, selfless, and joyful. This journey has taught me many lessons. I learned that love isn't just about words, it's about actions. Love is care, respect, and commitment. I also learned that nobody is perfect, and people make mistakes. Most importantly, I discovered that I am strong. I can endure pain, sadness, and loss, and still find happiness one day at a time. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed it, please share it with someone who might find strength or inspiration from it. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories and lessons.